Good morning, everyone. Today is Wednesday morning, hot day, October 25th, 2023. We are ready for the 11th chapter of John. Of course, this is the account of Jesus raising Lazarus from the dead. Probably one of the most significant two verses in this chapter is John 11:50 and 51. 51 says, "This spake he." Now this is the high priest. Being a high priest that year, he prophesied that Jesus should die for that nation. And we're going to see that when he prophesied this, and he said for not for that nation, but he would gather together himself all those that he would die for. After he prophesied this, that they continued to seek out to kill Jesus. Now a certain man was sick named Lazarus of Bethany, the town of Mary and her sister Martha. It was that Mary that anointed the Lord with ointment and wiped his feet with her hair, whose brother Lazarus was sick. Therefore his sisters sent unto him, saying, Lord, behold, he whom thou lovest is sick. When Jesus heard that, he said, This sickness is not unto death, but for the glory of God, that the Son of God might be glorified thereby. Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. When he had heard therefore that he was sick, he abode 2 days still in the same place where he was. Then after that he saith to his disciples, Let us go into Judea again. His disciples saying to him, Master, the Jews of late sought to stone thee, and now goest thou thither again? Jesus answered, Are there not 12 hours in the day? If any man walk in the day, he stumbleth not, because he seeth the light of this world. But if a man walk in the night, he stumbleth, because there is no light in him. These things said he after that he saith unto them, Our friend Lazarus sleepeth, but I go that I may awake him out of sleep. Then said his disciples, Lord, if he sleep, he shall do well. Howbeit Jesus spake of his death, but they thought that he spoke of taking of rest and sleep. Then said Jesus unto them plainly, Lazarus is dead. And I am glad for your sakes that I was not there, to the intent ye may believe. Nevertheless, let us go unto him. Then said Thomas, which is called Didymus, unto his fellow disciples, Let us go, that we may die with him. Then when Jesus came, he found that he had lain in the grave 4 days already. Now Bethany was nigh unto Jerusalem, about 15 furlongs off, and many of the Jews came to Martha and Mary to comfort them concerning their brother. Then Martha, as soon as she had heard that Jesus was coming, went and met him, but Mary sat still in the house. Then said Martha unto Jesus, Lord, if thou hadst been here, my brother had not died. But I know that even now, whatsoever thou wilt ask of God, God will give it thee. Jesus said unto him, Thy brother shall rise again. Martha saith unto him, I know that he shall rise again in the resurrection at the last day. Jesus said unto her, I am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. And whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die. Believest thou this? She saith unto him, Yea, Lord, I believe that thou art the Christ, the Son of God, which should come into the world. And when she had so said, she went her way and called Mary her sister secretly, saying, The Master is come and calleth for thee. And as soon as she heard that, she arose quickly and came unto him. Now Jesus was yet come into the town, but was in that place where Martha met him. The Jews then, which were with her in the house, and comforted her when they saw Mary, that she rose up hastily and went out, followed her, saying, She goeth into the grave to weep there. Then when Mary was come where Jesus was, and saw him, she fell down at his feet, saying unto him, Lord, if thou hadst been here, my brother had not died. When Jesus therefore saw her weeping, and the Jews also weeping, which came with her, he groaned in his spirit, and was troubled, and said, Where have ye laid him? They said unto him, Lord, come and see. Jesus wept. Then said the Jews, Behold how he loved him. And some of them said, Could not this man which opened the eyes of the blind have caused that even this man should not have died? Jesus therefore, again groaning in himself, cometh to the grave. It was a cave, and a stone lay upon it. Jesus said, Take ye away the stone. Martha, the sister of him that was dead, saith unto him, Lord, by this time he stinketh, for he hath been dead 4 days. Jesus saith unto her, Said I not unto thee that if thou wouldst believe, thou shouldst see the glory of God? Then they took away the stone from the place where the dead was laid, and Jesus lifted up his eyes and said, Father, I thank thee that thou hast heard me. And I knew that thou hearest me always. Because of the people which stand by I said it, that they may believe that thou hast sent me. And when he had thus spoken, he cried with a loud voice, Lazarus, come forth. And he that was dead came forth, bound hand and foot with grave clothes, and his face was bound about with a napkin. Jesus saith to him, Loose him and let him go. Then many of the Jews which came to Mary had seen the things which Jesus did, believed on him. But some of them went their way to the Pharisees and told what things Jesus had done. Then gathered the chief priests and the Pharisees a council, and said, What do we? For this man doeth many miracles. If we let him alone, thus all men will believe on him, and the Romans will come and take away both our place and nation. And one of them, named Caiaphas, being the high priest that same year, said to them, Ye know nothing at all, nor consider that it is expedient for us that one should die for the people, and that the whole nation perish not. And this spake he not of himself, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Jesus should die for the nation, and not for that nation only, but that also he should gather together in one the children of God, which were scattered abroad. Then from that day forth they took counsel together for to put him to death. Jesus therefore walked no more openly among the Jews, but went thence into a country near the wilderness, in a city called Ephraim, and there continued with his disciples. And the Jews' Passover was nigh at hand, and many went out of the country up to Jerusalem before the Passover to purify themselves. Then sought they for Jesus, and spake among themselves as they stood in the temple, What think ye, that he will not come to the feast? Now both the chief priests and the Pharisees had given a commandment that if any man knew where he were, he should show it, that they might take him. Well, this is again Jesus Christ showing absolute proof that he was a son of God by the fact that he had the power to raise Lazarus from the dead. Also, I find it also very interesting that Caiaphas, the high priest that year, knew the prophecies that Messiah would come and would die for the sins of the people, and he also knew that it was Christ. You know, he told them that one should die for the people, that the whole nation perish not. He spake not of himself, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Jesus would die for that nation. I find that really interesting. And he also prophesied that he would not only die for that nation only, but also he should gather together in one the children of God that were scattered abroad. So his prophecy was not just for the nation of Israel. Okay. His prophecy was that he would die for his people and gather his people, all of his people together. That's who he prophesied for. That's who he said Christ would die for. And I find it interesting that Caiaphas knew this beforehand, and he actually stated it was going to happen in a matter-of-factly way. And notice that as soon as he prophesied this, it says from that day forth they took counsel together to put him to death. So they wanted to make sure his prophecy came into fulfillment, I guess. And notice also, from that time forth, Jesus didn't walk openly among the Jews. Okay. For they were seeking to kill him. And they eventually accomplished their objective, did they not? But of course we know that Scripture tells us, by the determinate counsel of God, you by wicked hands have crucified and slain. It was all predetermined beforehand that Christ would die. Christ was slain from the foundation of the world. And so here we have the magnificent miracle of the raising of Lazarus from the dead after he'd been in the grave for 4 days. And we also have the prophecy, or the foretelling, of Caiaphas, that Jesus would die for his people. May the good Lord be with you today, is my prayer. God bless.